The soft golden light of the morning sun filtered through the tall, elegant windows of the bedroom, casting a warm glow over the neatly made bed and the classic, carefully arranged furniture, giving the room a serene and almost sacred atmosphere, while the quiet hum of the city outside barely penetrated the calm within. On the carpeted floor, a maid dressed in a pristine green uniform with white trim knelt with her hands pressed together, her eyes closed in deep, heartfelt prayer, the quiet sincerity in her posture speaking volumes of the life she had led and the burdens she carried, as if each whispered plea was an offering to a higher power she trusted more than the people around her. And in front of her, 3 young boys, dressed in matching red shirts and blue jeans, knelt obediently, their small hands folded, their innocent faces reflecting a mixture of reverence and curiosity, for they had never witnessed such devotion before, and yet there was a strange comfort in joining her, as if their hearts instinctively knew the importance of this moment, the eldest of the boys whispering a soft "Amen" under his breath, while the youngest fidgeted slightly but quickly quieted down, sensing the gravity of the scene. At the doorway, a well-dressed man in a sharp blue suit paused, his hand still on the door handle, frozen by the unexpected sight before him, a mixture of surprise, admiration, and an odd sense of guilt crossing his features, for he had always thought of this household in terms of wealth, control, and appearances, but here was a glimpse of something pure, untainted by money or social expectation, a moment of devotion that seemed to transcend all the trappings of his carefully constructed life, and he felt a strange stirring in his chest, an unfamiliar softness that made him step back, almost ashamed that he had interrupted such sacred simplicity. The maid's voice, soft but unwavering, continued her prayer, her words a mix of gratitude, hope, and quiet. Emotionally crushed, and terrified beyond reason, Richard hired a young nanny named Maya, soft-spoken, observant, a woman whose presence carried an unusual calm. He hired her not because she was the best, but because she was the only candidate who didn't seem intimidated by the mansion's gloom or his cold demeanor. From the first moment she stepped inside, Maya sensed something deeply wrong, not just with the girl's health, but with the house itself, the coldness of the rooms, the heaviness in the air, the strange silence at night when even the wind seemed afraid to move. She spent her days watching the girls closely, documenting everything, speaking to them gently, comforting them while Richard buried himself in medical research. And as days passed, she noticed patterns no doctor had cared to see. The girls worsened only when they were inside their bedroom. They always complained of nightmares involving a shadow mommy, their fevers rose at the same time every night, and an unusual scent lingered around their beds despite the room being sterilized daily. Maya watched, listened, pieced clues together, and finally noticed something chilling. The girls improved drastically whenever they spent time outside the house, laughing faintly, breathing calmly, their cheeks regaining a touch of color, only to crash again within hours of returning to the mansion. Determined, she searched the room while Richard was away and found old baby items belonging to Amelia sealed in a trunk under the floorboards, covered in a strange white residue she didn't recognize. That night, as the girls whimpered again, Maya stayed awake in the dark and saw, with her own eyes, the air above their beds shimmering strangely, as if something unseen was draining life from them. She followed the smell to the vents, chemicals, mold, something deeper, and suddenly everything clicked. Racing to Richard, she told him everything she had found, and though he dismissed her at first,
Mira, terrified yet honest, answered, "Nothing. I just cared," and those simple words struck him harder than any boardroom battle he had ever fought. From that moment on, the mansion buzzed with gossip that the maid had accomplished what trained specialists failed to do, and though Victor pretended not to care, he began observing from afar how Lucas clung to Mira like a shadow, how he smiled for the first time in years, how he touched her face to check if she was real, and how he refused to eat unless she fed him herself. Jealousy, curiosity, and confusion battled inside the billionaire, especially when he noticed something new awakening within himself, a strange warmth whenever he saw them together, yet he refused to admit that perhaps this humble maid had something his millions never could. But lurking beneath all this newfound hope was a storm neither Mira nor Victor knew was brewing, because the mansion's senior staff, especially the jealous head nanny, began plotting behind Myra's back, determined to remove her before she replaced them, convinced that a maid had no right to occupy the heart of the billionaire's son, or the attention of the billionaire himself. Unaware of the danger circling her, Mira simply continued giving the little boy something no one else had ever offered him, genuine love, and in doing so, she unknowingly ignited a chain of events that would soon shake the entire Carrington empire.